Have you ever felt your entire world collapse in a single morning? Bank accounts frozen, friends gone silent, standing alone in a courtroom with nothing but dignity holding you upright. That was Amara Collins. Her husband, Daniel Collins, believed he had already won and broken dreams. For Daniel Collins, however, the air smelled like victory. He sat confidently at the plaintiff's table, adjusting the cuffs of his imported suit. The fabric alone cost more than many people earned in 3 months. A gold Rolex gleamed on his wrist as sunlight streamed through tall windows. "She's late," Daniel muttered smugly to the man beside him. "Or maybe she finally realized she can't fight me." That man was Richard Hale, a ruthless divorce attorney known for destroying spouses in court. People called him the Hammer. When he struck, marriages didn't just end, they were erased. "It doesn't matter if she comes," Richard said calmly. "We froze every joint account on Monday. No money means no lawyer." Daniel smiled. Across the aisle sat Amara, alone. No lawyer, no documents, no support. She wore a simple gray dress, modest and unadorned. Her hands were clasped so tightly her knuckles had turned white. She stared straight ahead at the judge's empty chair, refusing to look at her husband. "Look at her," Daniel said loudly, making sure everyone heard. "It's like watching a goat tied for slaughter." The judge arrived. "All rise." Justice Raymond Brooks entered, sharp-eyed, disciplined, unforgiving of nonsense. He wasted no time. "Be seated." He reviewed the case file. Collins versus Collins, divorce, asset division, spousal support. Daniel's lawyer stood smoothly. "We are ready to proceed, Your Honor." Justice Brooks turned to Amara. "Mrs. Collins, I see you are without counsel. Are you expecting representation?" Amara stood slowly, her voice soft but steady. "Yes, Your Honor. She'll be here shortly." Daniel laughed openly. The judge slammed his gavel. "One more sound from you, Mr. Collins, and you'll be removed." Daniel stood quickly, fake humility on his face. "My wife doesn't understand the law, Your Honor. I offered her $2 million and a car. She refused." He turned to Amara. "I tried to help you. You're alone because no lawyer works for free." Richard Hale seized the moment. "We request immediate judgment. She has no legal representation." The judge sighed and looked at Amara with concern. "If your lawyer does not arrive now, I must assume you are representing yourself, and that would be unwise." Amara's eyes stayed locked at the courtroom doors. "Please," she said quietly, "2 more minutes." Daniel leaned forward, venom in his voice. "She has no family, no connections, nobody's coming." The judge reached for his gavel. Then the doors exploded open. The courtroom doors flew open with a thunderous crash. Every head turned. A woman stood in the doorway. Late 60s, tall, unshakable. She wore a flawless white suit that radiated power. Her silver hair was perfectly cut. Dark designer sunglasses hid her eyes until she removed them. Cold, sharp, dangerous. Behind her marched 3 elite lawyers, briefcases in hand, moving like soldiers. Richard Hale's pen dropped from his fingers. "No," he whispered, "that's impossible." The woman walked down the aisle slowly. Each heel strike echoed like a countdown. She stopped beside Amara. Then she spoke. "Apologies for my delay, Your Honor. I was busy documenting Mr. Collins's hidden accounts in Dubai and the Cayman Islands." Daniel's blood ran cold. "State your name," the judge said sharply. She placed a gold-embossed card on the desk. "Margaret Collins, senior partner, Collins and Whitmore, counsel for the defendant." She paused. "And I am also her mother." Shock, terror, silence.
Daniel stared at Amara. "You said your mother was gone." Amara lifted her chin. "I said she was gone from my life, not dead." Margaret opened her briefcase. "My daughter left my world 25 years ago because she wanted a simple life. She wanted love, not power." She turned to Daniel. "But you chose to destroy her."
The silence after Margaret Collins announced who she was felt heavy enough to crush bones. Even the ceiling fan seemed to hesitate. Judge Raymond Brooks leaned forward, respect now clear in his voice. "Mrs. Collins, your reputation precedes you. However, we are in the middle of a divorce hearing concerning asset division." Margaret smiled calmly. "Yes, Your Honor, I've reviewed every motion filed in this case." She opened her briefcase. "Creative attempts," she added mildly, "but poorly researched." She handed a thick stack of documents to the court officer, then dropped an identical pile on Richard Hale's desk. The sound alone made him flinch. The prenuptial agreement. Daniel jumped to his feet. "She signed a prenup. She gets nothing." Margaret turned slowly. "Mr. Collins, do you know who authored the Nigerian legal guidelines defining coercion in prenuptial agreements?" Daniel blinked. "I did," Margaret said softly, "in 2003. The courtroom murmured. She tapped the documents. "According to my daughter's sworn affidavit and verified phone records, you threatened to burn her grandmother's home and harm her sister if she refused to sign the prenup the night before your wedding." Gasps erupted across the room. "That's a lie," Daniel screamed. "We have the messages," Margaret replied calmly, "recovered from a backup server you forgot existed. Exhibit C." Judge Brooks flipped the pages, his jaw tightened. Richard Hale began sweating, badly. The money trail. "Now," Margaret continued, voice sharp as steel, "let's talk about money." She lifted another folder, thicker than the last. "Mr. Collins claims his net worth is $35 million. She stepped closer. "The real number is $98 million. Daniel staggered backward. "My forensic accountants traced shell companies in Dubai, South Africa, and the Cayman Islands. You siphoned marital funds into a company called Summit Holdings." She leaned in. "You committed perjury 3 days ago." Daniel collapsed into his chair. Richard whispered desperately, "We need a recess." "Denied," Judge Brooks snapped. Public humiliation. Margaret placed her hand gently on Amara's shoulder. "You mocked my daughter because you thought kindness meant weakness." She looked straight at Daniel. "I am not here to negotiate. I am here to dismantle you." She turned to the judge. "Your Honor, I'd like to question the plaintiff." Daniel walked to the witness stand like a man headed to execution. Margaret didn't carry notes. She didn't need them. "Mr. Collins, you said my daughter is disorganized. Is that why you controlled all finances?" "Yes," Daniel said, regaining confidence. "She doesn't understand business." Margaret nodded. "Interesting. Then explain the apartment purchased in March, registered under Summit Holdings." Daniel stuttered. It was an investment." She produced receipts. A king-size bed, luxury furniture, and a gold necklace purchased 3 days later. Amara gasped. "Was that for tenants or for the woman living there?" "Objection," Richard yelled. "Overruled," the judge said coldly. The fatal mistake. Margaret continued. "You transferred $12 million to Dubai and converted it to Bitcoin." Daniel's mouth fell open. "How did you—" "It's my job," she replied. She stepped closer, voice deadly quiet. "You stole from your marriage." Daniel exploded. "It's my money. She didn't build anything." The courtroom froze. Judge Brooks stared at him. "Did you just admit, under oath, to hiding marital assets?" Daniel realized too late. "No further questions," Margaret said, turning away. Amara was crying, but this time from relief. "He destroyed himself," Margaret whispered.
The lawyer abandoned ship. Richard Hale began packing his briefcase. "I must withdraw as counsel." Daniel grabbed him. "You can't leave me!" Court officers restrained Daniel immediately. Judge Brooks snarled, "You will sit down." Richard sat, far away from Daniel. A new witness. Margaret stood again. "I call Naomi Trent." Daniel's face went white. A young woman entered, nervous, shaking. "My girlfriend," she testified, "for 2 years." She looked straight at Daniel. "He bragged about destroying my wife. He said it would be fun." Amara broke down sobbing. The judge's decision. Judge Brooks removed his glasses. "In 23 years on this bench, I have never seen such cruelty." He issued immediate orders. All of Daniel's assets frozen. Amara gets the marital home. Case referred for criminal prosecution. Daniel pays 100% of legal fees. The gavel slammed. Court adjourned.
The courtroom had emptied, but Amara Collins felt lighter than she had in years. For the first time, Daniel Collins had nothing left to say. As Amara and Margaret Collins walked down the courthouse steps into the blazing afternoon sun, a black luxury sedan rolled smoothly to the curb. The back window slid down. A man sat inside. Gray hair, sharp eyes, controlled power. Amara froze. "Dad," she whispered. The father appears. Charles Bennett stepped out of the car. He was impeccably dressed, every inch the successful financier he had always been. "I heard about the hearing. The Iron Queen returns to court." Margaret stiffened. "I protected our daughter," she replied sharply. Charles nodded, then turned to Amara, not with warmth, but with calculation. "I'm here because Daniel owes my firm $15 million. He pulled out a document. He used the marital home as collateral. The loan is in default." Amara felt the ground drop beneath her feet. She had just won the house, only to lose it again. The paper that changed everything. Margaret took the document and scanned it in seconds. Then she smiled, a dangerous smile. "Oh, Charles, you didn't do proper due diligence." Charles frowned. "The house was placed into a family trust in 2019, Margaret explained calmly. "That means both beneficiaries had to sign for it to be collateral." She held up the signature page. "This signature?" She placed Amara's real signature beside it. "Forged." Amara whispered, "He forged my name again." Charles went pale. "If it's forged, then the loan is void." "Correct," Margaret said pleasantly. "And if you pursue this, I'll bury your firm in litigation." She leaned in. "Or you can walk away and apologize to your daughter." A hollow apology. Charles hesitated. For the first time, he looked small. "I should have been a better father," he said quietly. Amara felt no relief, only distance. "It's okay," she said softly. "You can go now." Charles nodded and left. Mother and daughter. Margaret exhaled. "That's handled." Amara hugged her. "I missed you, Mama." "I missed you too," she whispered. "I'm not leaving again." 3 months later. The Terra Gallery in Lagos buzzed with excitement. Every painting was sold. Amara stood radiant, designer, artist, survivor. Her exhibition was called Rebirth. The centerpiece painting showed a woman in white shattering chains inside a courtroom. Margaret watched proudly. Her phone buzzed. Breaking news. Daniel Collins sentenced to 7 years for fraud and money laundering. She smiled. The final victory.
Daniel's assets were sold, damages awarded, funds recovered. Amara stared at the bank statement. Enough to start over, enough to help others, enough to live free. "It's over," Amara whispered. Margaret shook her head gently. "No, my dear, it's a beginning." The lesson. Daniel learned too late. Silence is not weakness. Kindness is not stupidity. And hurting a woman is one thing, but hurting a mother's daughter is unforgivable.